Where would I be if I had no limits? If I could snap my fingers today and say, this is where I'd like to be, what would that look like? Decide what that is and start working back to what that would look like. This shouldn't be like a 2-year goal. This should be like, where do you want to be when you're 45? And then we work that backwards to today, and then we start working forwards towards that.
Fear doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you trapped. Whatever you fear establishes the boundaries of your freedom. So if you're afraid of heights, you stay low. If you're afraid of people, you stay alone.
It's okay to be alone for a while. And it's so important because being alone, going through a stage of isolation is vital to your personal development. I firmly believe that if you want to be the best version of yourself, you have to go through a stage of isolation, of being alone for a bit. And that can be extremely uncomfortable. But the problem is, a lot of people soothe that discomfort through distraction. And what's that doing? Absolutely nothing. In fact, it's leading to your long-term detriment.
The external environment, all these impacts, they have created you. Or you create yourself, because there is something that you tell to yourself, this is my guide, this is my codex, this is how I want to live this life. And then all these external circumstances, they do not impact you so much anymore.
Consistency is the most reliable trait that all of the successful people that I've been around have got. Like, no one is successful who isn't consistent. Consistency won't guarantee success, but not being consistent will guarantee that you won't be successful.
The most driven individuals, they live a life for many years without balance. You can't be the best at something and try to balance everything else around your life. There's going to be times where things are going to be out of balance. And just this.
Only risk takers win. By definition, if you are the same as everybody else, if you're not taking a risk over and above what everybody else is taking, by definition, you can't win.
The ways of a person, the thoughts, the deeds, the actions, it's all based around his heart. For what is a man? A man is his heart. A lying, cheating heart means a lying, cheating man. A loving, merciful heart means a loving, merciful man. A living heart means a living man. A dead heart means a dead man. Regardless to man's title, regardless to man's wealth, rank, or position, if the heart is not great, then he cannot be great. But if the heart is great, that man remains great under all circumstances.
There is nothing that causes you to be more motivated than a feeling that you're growing every day toward becoming more and more of what you're capable of becoming. Study after study shows that if you're not growing, you're stagnating. Is it people who are negative and depressed and have low self-esteem, or people who have sort of plateaued out in life?
The deeper I go, the less choice I have, the freer I feel. The more an ego I was, the more choice I thought I had, the more limited I was. What I have found through my experience is when we surrender, things may not go according to plan, but it will often be beyond your plan. And when you surrender, what I have found is you will always end up, always. This is a promise. You talk about promise, you will always end up in the right place, at the right time, with the right people, doing the right thing, even though the path that you take may not be the one that you most expect.
I guarantee you, if you learn this, every single good thing you are looking for will come chasing you. The law of mental transformation. If you are looking for money, stop looking. If you are chasing success, stop chasing. If every other day you have a new idea on how to generate success, you are on the fool's journey. As you evolve and grow, you align yourself with the qualities that naturally draw success towards you. Transformation is magnetic. Refine your character, expand your skills, enhance your mind, reject fear. The more you become a magnet for the opportunities and achievements you seek, the more success will find you. It's about evolving from within. Allow your growth to create the conditions for success to come to you.
Stop lying to yourself. You know what needs to be done, but you keep making excuses, pretending you're helpless. That's self-destruction. Second, you're wasting time and you know exactly how. You can't stick to anything because your mind is constantly distracted. Look at the people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you forward or keeping you stuck? Surrounding yourself with people who lack ambition will inevitably pull you in the same direction. If they're not helping you grow, why are you hanging around them? You either decide to finally realize that you need to make these changes, or you decide you're happy with the outcome. You know will meet you in the future if you don't take action right now.
Don't stress in the face of adversity. Make adversity something you desire for an opportunity to grow.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Nassim Taleb said they are born, then put in a box. They go home to live in a box. They study by ticking boxes. They go to what is called work in a box, where they sit in their cubicle box. They drive to the grocery store in a box to buy food in a box. They talk about thinking outside the box. And when they die, they are put in a box. So think outside the box. Break the norms. Trailblaze. Ask questions. Remember, when someone calls you crazy, they are still stuck inside the box.
That's what defines the greatest performers from the people who haven't quite made it yet. It's really their ability to say, oh, if I should train now, I will. Oh, if I should eat like this, I will. Oh, if I should do this, okay, then I will. It's collapsing that, knowing what you should do, and actually doing it, and making that one. And that's ultimately a choice.
Let me tell you a secret though. The most successful people in the world are also the world's biggest failures. Like if you look at Walt Disney, he was fired from his dream job as an animator because he lacked creativity. When you look at Michael Jordan, he was cut from his high school basketball team because he wasn't good enough, and he became the greatest basketball player ever. J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, she was rejected by 12 publishers, and that book went on to sell 500 million copies. And the creator of Honda said that success is 99% failure. So when you think of failure, just remember it's not the opposite of success. It is actually a pivotal part of success.
You're a fool when you start something new. And so if you're not willing to be a fool, then you'll never start anything new. And if you never start anything new, then you won't develop. And so the willingness to be a fool is the precursor to transformation. And that's the same as humility. And so if you're going to write your destiny, you can do a bad first job. You're going to get smarter as you move forward. That's the thing, is that so if something beckons to you, that's what happens here. Maybe the star that Geppetto wished on was the wrong damn star, but at least it was a star. And so you say in your life, well, something grips you and fills you with interest. And you think, well, should I do that? And the answer is, if not that, then something.
You know what life A is gonna get you. You've been doing it over and over and over and getting the same results. You want something different, you gotta do something different. It's that simple. You want different, you gotta do different. You want better, you gotta be better. You want change, you gotta change.
The true horror of existence is not the fear of death, but the fear of life.
It is the fear of waking up each day to face the same struggles, the same disappointments, the same pain. It is the fear that nothing will ever change, that you are trapped in a cycle of suffering that you cannot escape. And in that fear, there is a desperation, a longing for something, anything, to break the monotony, to bring meaning to the endless repetition of days.
You listen to other people, to their opinions, to their whininess. It'll beat you up and you'll never be able to reach the goals that you want to reach in life. So the answer is to become internally oriented, to know what you want, to know what your goals are, to know what your desires are, to know what makes you unique, and to put your focus on that and not on other people's expectations of you.
And remember, before you do something special, just do something.
And when people say to me, well, I can't predict my future, I'm in the unknown, and I always say the best way to predict your future is to create it. Not from the known, but from the unknown. What thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? What behaviors do you want to demonstrate in one day? The act of rehearsing them mentally, closing your eyes, and rehearsing the action.
Sometimes life is asking you to stop being so worried about everything that's gonna go wrong, when the reality is you're the one manifesting the thing that you don't want to happen because you're choosing to believe that that's what's gonna happen. It's always gonna feel scary to your ego to do something that it's never done before. That's what the fear actually is. So it just draws you back to going back to thinking that, I don't know if I should do this, when the reality is there's an internal part of you that knows it's time for change. Just learn to trust it, because you will come into realization after you make the decision that it was the right decision. And you'll feel how it actually helped you let go of that identity that's been dragging you down into a reality that you've already outgrown.
If your definition of success is win or lose, giving everything you've got and growing or learning along the way, then you're setting yourself up for success. I really think the biggest cheat code in life is just going after it and not being concerned of whether or not you fail at one specific task. Instead, understanding the big picture, what your long-term goal is, and knowing if you keep driving forward and never fucking quit, in the end you will succeed.
Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." So yes, staying true to yourself is a powerful act of rebellion. Your authenticity becomes your greatest strength in an environment that pressures you to fit in.
I prefer to be the kind of person who steps up and facing the challenge than the kind of person who stays below the line and avoids challenge. What kind of person do you want to be? What do you want? How badly do you want it? How much are you willing to suffer? Those three questions our high performers face every day.
Don't aim for happiness, aim for purpose. Happiness is temporary. It comes and it goes like the waves of the ocean. So enjoy it as it comes and smile as it fades away. Purpose touches your soul. Now, pursuing it doesn't always make you happy, and a lot of times it actually makes you frustrated and confused. It also sometimes brings you joy and adventure, but it is complex like a Renaissance poem. There's ups and there's downs, there's twists and turns, stagnation and chaos. It is pure, and that is the journey in which you will be fulfilled.
You only have one chance at this life. You do know that, right? And if you are always playing that supporting role, as Ed Milet says, when the credits roll at the end of your movie, at the end of your life, it's just gonna say supporting actor number 3, and it'll have your name. Don't you wanna be the main star? Don't you wanna be the key character in your life story? Don't you want to make the best decisions?
Human beings have the ability, unlike animals, because we have the ability to create our reality. And my reality is as I perceive it. You have the ability to create your reality. What you see here in your head is what you will see as your exterior. It's always like that. I walk into a party, I say, I don't like that guy. You know what? I'm right. You walk in and say, that's a wonderful guy. You're right too. We're both right.
Starting is the hardest part, but you've already done that. Most people never even get to this point. They let fear of failure, rejection, or embarrassment hold them back. But you're already ahead of the game because you took action. Don't waste time worrying about people who doubt you. They're just projecting their own insecurities. The ones who laugh at you for starting are the ones who are too afraid to start themselves. Keep pushing. Real ones will recognize your effort, and the rest, they don't matter.
So every time you show up, and every time you're on point, if you do that on the regular, even if every day you're not even making 1% improvements, you're making 0.01% improvements, over time, those will add up. And those will add up exponentially. So on a day-by-day basis, I mean, you're not going to expect anything crazy, but you can become completely unrecognizable.
You do whatever the hell you want. Just do it well. That's important. And don't do any damn thing that you will be ashamed of doing tomorrow, isn't it? What other people say doesn't matter, but you should not be ashamed of what you have done, isn't it so? This much you must keep. This much pride and freedom you must keep in your life. It doesn't matter, the whole world says you're wrong, but you are not ashamed of what you have done. That much you must always keep in your life. If that one thing, if you give up, I'm telling you, you'll live a very poor life. You may have everything, but you'll have nothing.
The thing that holds us back is fear. How do we overcome that fear?
So am I fearless? No. Do I fear a lot of things? No. I do think there's only one thing that ultimately makes you break free from fear, which is to find a way and wake up from a tree. How to go from average to fortune. There's 5 simple steps. First one, get serious. And you must get serious about 2 very important things, setting your goals and where you want to go. The second point is get smart. You just must keep up the steady process of learning. Never cease your quest for knowledge. Number 3, you've got to get going. All of the things that you've learned will not do you that much good if you don't put it into an action plan. Here's number 4, you must get excited. It's pretty exciting to know that any day you wish, you can change your life. Number 5 is get away. You must learn to get away and be alone. Learn to get away and reflect. Learn how to live as well as how to earn. You must balance your life. Get serious, get smart, get going, get excited, and get away.
You're never going to get anywhere looking for the easy way to do hard things. After all this time, you are still looking for someone to come and hand you some magic formula that makes everything simple, that makes everything easy, some secret method that helps you skip the boring and difficult parts and skips right to the result.
If you give up a little bit today, like you can't get it back. Like if you skip a workout today, there's no possible way to get that back. When you let something go, it's gone. And Rome wasn't built in a day, but Rome didn't fall apart on a day either. It didn't fall apart because of one thing. It falls apart just a little bit at a time.
What if the pain you carry is not an ending, but the beginning of something sacred? Transformation rarely feels gentle. It is a tearing, a breaking, the loss of everything you thought was solid. But in that breaking, space is made. The self you clung to begins to fall away, and something truer, something eternal begins to rise. It is not always clean. It is raw, uncertain, and often lonely. But growth never comes without cost. To rise, something must fall. To be healed, something must be surrendered. To live again, something within you must die. Trust the breaking. It is the soil where rebirth begins.
If you have big goals, they motivate you, they stimulate you, they excite you, they enthuse you. If you have no goals at all, you just go around in circles. What we have found is that goals are the fuel in the furnace of achievement. You have big goals, and the more you work on the goals and the more you feel yourself progressing toward them, the better you feel, the more positive you feel, the more momentum you develop, and the more you feel yourself to be unstoppable.
You're not going to fix everything at one time, okay? Pick the battle that you can win today. That you can win. You pick the battle that you can win today. I'm saying deal with one thing at a time as you're ready and able to deal with it. All right? Just pick one battle When you win that battle, taking us bad.
But that's just the way how it is. I have learned along this way. The more you shine, the more shadows you cast. It just goes hand in hand. That's the price for all of this.
You've lived a life dominated by doubt and fear. How do you step into bravery? Step. That's how you step into bravery. Step. Take the step. Step aggressively towards your fear. And that step towards your fear is the step into bravery.
In that your being is limited and flawed and fragile. You're like the genie, which is genius in the little tiny lamp, you know, this immense potential, but constrained in this tiny little living space. But the fact that you have limitations means that the plot of your life is the overcoming of those limitations, and that if you didn't have limitations, well, there wouldn't be a plot, and maybe there would be no life. And so that's part of the reason why perhaps you have to accept the fact that you're flawed and insufficient and live with it and consider it a precondition for being.
You're either committed to mediocrity or you're committed to greatness. You're either committed to being productive or you're committed to being non-productive. You're committed to being happy or you're committed to being unhappy.
Well, the average lifespan is 72 or 82. Whatever it is that you're expected to live, you're going to work 65 of it in order to enjoy 10, 12 years. You've done that wrong. It's the wrong focus.
That you are here. That life exists and identity. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse.
People who found their purpose are better partners, better parents, better professionals, better people. And so if everyone in the world was deeply aligned and connected to their purpose, the world would be a beautiful place. And I think any pain we see in the world comes from a disconnect with purpose. The people who need the most love often ask for it in the most unloving ways. So we confuse love with power. We confuse love with control. We confuse love with validation and being liked. And to me, love comes from living our purpose, self-love and true love with other people.
Commitment is major. See, when you decide that you're going to do something, when you commit yourself to live a life that's different than the life that you live, you hold yourself to a higher standard. You're seeking something. You're pushing the envelope. You are challenging yourself. You are willing to walk by faith and not by sight. And you know, as a warrior, that there's a dramatic difference between being a warrior and being a warrior. Anybody can worry.
That step towards your fear is the step into bravery. Because we're scared of what we don't know. And there is only one way to learn and to know, and that is to confront that fear. You have to step, you have to go. And this simple action, this simple attitude, it answers so many questions.
Why is it that people are frightened by commitment? Because when you say the word commitment, that intimidates a lot of people. Why? Because it means you have to deliver.
How do you get to the gym every day? You step, you go. How do you change your diet? You step, you go. How do you overcome fear of failure or fear of success or fear of fear itself? You step.
That when we put ourselves in a situation where we say we're going to do it, it puts you in another zone where the universe responds to you. When you have that kind of consciousness, see, the universe responds to the man or woman that refuses to be denied. Because that is your commitment. That business that you want, that book you want to write, that dream that you have of controlling your destiny, that is yours. That power to create that and to manifest that is yours.
The first step you need to take is just that. Step.
I'd ask people what are their goals, and they're like, oh, I want to go to the gym more. That's not a goal. That's a habit. People are like, I want to get in better shape. That's not specific. It's got to be like a target, something you can hit. And how you build that in your mind, the vision, it's very, very important as you bombard your subconscious. And many of you are doing mind movies or vision boards, things like that. But to really ingrain this into your being is going to be key. And so I love this phrase. This is the ultimate self-development formula that you've all heard before: be, do, have. And so what you want to have, that's your goals, but all that's supported by your habits, your rituals, your standards, your story, your state. It's all the things that you're doing. And of course, I know we've all heard this before, we're not human doings, we're human beings. And so it's all in the context of who you be, because two people can do the same things, have the same habits, have the same job, have the same script, have the same goals, but one person will achieve it and one person not, based on the context of who they be. And who you be is all about what you value. People define their values. And if I asked you what you value, or anybody, they're like success, love, happiness, wealth. But they say that's what they want their values to be, but that's not what their values are. So you could ask somebody what their values are by asking them questions like, if your house was about to burn down and you can only grab 3 things, what would you grab and what do they mean to you? Where do you spend your money? Where do you spend your time? Who do you spend your time with, and what do they do for you? Like, reverse engineer what people's values are by looking at their actual habits and the way they show up. And if they sat in silence for an hour, unless you're a master meditator, our minds are gonna drift somewhere. And so where does the mind go? It goes to what you value. And a lot of times what we want and what we value are in conflict. People want to be successful, but they actually value comfort and laziness and significance and looking good, looking like a success more than actually being successful. So that takes work. So habits versus goals, because those are the two things that you really want to dial in here at the end of the year, and always working on your values, always working on your character development. Because I love this phrase from Mr. Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, who you are speaks so loudly, people can't even hear what you say. So as you're practicing those scripts, as you're sharing your goals, you've got to dial this in, and you got to make sure that it's an alignment, because most people have incongruency in their life. Their words are here with their goals. They say they're going to do something. Their words are here, but their actions are here, or their habits. Their mind's all over the place, emotionally scattered. But when your words, your thoughts, your actions are all in alignment, you say what you mean, you mean what you say, and your habits are in alignment with your goals, that is key, and things start to show up for you and start to open up for you. And so getting to the gym more, that's a habit, but you want to be specific even in that. It's finding something like going to the gym and then rating yourself. So if you had a spreadsheet and you could say like water intake, or, go to the gym and 5 days a week or whatever it is. So you have this habit, but rating yourself, because sometimes you have shit workouts. Sometimes you work and you do prospecting, or you're on sales calls and you did the habit, you did the thing, but you did it at like a low standard. And really dialing in these habits and tying that to your identity. I love that Tony's got this thing called strategy, story, state, but we also add standard. And so there are strategies in what you can do in your business and your marketing and everything, but all that's in the context of your story. And you have a story
consciously or unconsciously you tell about yourself, the market, your past, about the future, whatever. And then there's a state, there's a habitual pattern of what you focus on, the language that you use, the meaning that you attach to things, and then also how you ingrain all this in your physiology to have physical mastery over these concepts where it's in you, as you, and you're just pushing these things from a place of unlimited resources, of boundless energy, that is something's coming through you because you are in alignment, and that's when things really begin to get juicy. So T is based upon the foundation. So you see all these buildings and you see all the success of other people, you see what they've created, but there's foundation, there's things beneath the surface that you can't even see. And that's the habits, that's the ritualness, and as our main man Tony always says, you're rewarded in public for what you practice in private. And so you getting really clear on what you want to practice, what you want to commit to, and being honest with yourself. And having that integrity with yourself. And integrity means wholeness. And I love this concept of integrity because you even hear this word, like somebody says, you give your word. And it used to be like 100 years ago, if you broke your word, like you'd ruined your family's name. Now people lie all the time and it's not a big deal. So keeping this integrity with yourself, it's like integrity is like wholeness and complete. And when you give somebody your word, it's like you're giving them something. And then if you keep your word, you've put something out there, like an intention, like a goal, you've kept your word, you put it out there, and then it comes back to you, and now it comes back to you stronger because now your mind and you're bonded to that person and you've kept a promise to them, and you put it out there, you gave them your word, and then you kept it. And now when it comes back to you, you're actually bonded to that person where now energetically they're gonna support you. I think it's so important for us to be in integrity with ourselves, what we say that we're gonna do, and making sure that we look down at what we track daily and weekly and monthly and yearly, whatever it is, to have this big plan for our lives to make sure that we're living in alignment with our values so that we can really show up powerfully, not only for ourselves, but for our families, for our companies, for humanity. And life supports that what supports life. And having a bigger vision than just yourself is what's gonna connect you and really give you the emotional fuel that you need to step outside of yourself and be bigger than any challenge that could ever happen to you.
Owe it to yourself to take it all the way. See how much you can get out of life. See who you can become. See what you can build. What are the biggest goals and dreams that you have that you've been avoiding because you've been holding on to the doubts and the ideas and the thoughts of other people? You've allowed them to infiltrate your mind and to become your own. You need to build your vision and chase your dreams every single day.
Maybe you need to hear this right now. That scary thing you're afraid to do, it's only scary because it's unfamiliar. You don't need to attach a story to the fear that means you're incapable, that you're going to fail, or that people are going to judge you. Sure, maybe those things can happen, but 9 times out of 10, your ego is just trying to keep you safe by keeping you tethered to what you know. So, just a little reminder, things are way less scary once you decide to take the leap.
You are too concerned with what was and what will be. There's a saying, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift.
Forgive yourself if you're holding on to things you've done or thoughts you've had, if your demons have won over in times that you wish you knew better. Because the fact is you didn't, and if you had, then consider it a warning to get it together. But if you can't yet, be forgiving of that too. This world can twist and chain you with challenges, and though that's no excuse, the leaves can't help but change their colors. When the space we consume gets colder, but the trees don't die, they still grow older, their branches fall, lead a little too far one way. Even if they do crash over a home or they let disease invade from their seeds, they can start again, and you can do the same. So forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, because the person you embodied yesterday does not define your future. What will is what you carry forward, and if not for you now, then for the little one you once were. You had these hopes and dreams to follow. Without a doubt, you are the cure to ease all of that agony. Forgive yourself for letting it persist. We don't get many chances, so before you go and lose it.
Please, bro, don't spend another 6 months doing the same thing. You must find acceptance with the reality of this world. Change is pain, but so is comfort. Trying to learn is pain, but so is staying ignorant. Working out is pain, but so is being unhealthy. time is our greatest enemy, and it doesn't consider how you feel or your decisions. So waiting for next Monday to start off right is useless. Start now. Self-improvement is not a goal, but a lifestyle. It's something that you will be in the constant pursuit of every day, even when you're wiser, stronger, and richer.
Life is like the changing seasons. You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. And see, that's how life gets better for you, not by chance, but by change.
I think if we could zoom out and see our lives through the eyes of heaven and the whole universe, we would stop worrying so much, and we would probably start celebrating more. We would probably start living. That perspective, that zoomed out perspective is so hard for us to find and see. And so really we're stuck with our perspective, the zoomed in version, the daily life. And sometimes hard to find hope within that because we don't see what's coming and we don't understand what's coming. But I think that's what faith is. I think that's what hope is hoping that maybe there's a different perspective for all of this.
The decisions of your past do not make you. The decisions of your past do not break you. You are someone that can grow from where you're at. You are someone who have learned so much from what you've been through. You are someone that's armed with new knowledge on how to grow in this life, on how to move in this life, on how to serve in this life, on how to love in this life. Go forward. Trust yourself.
And what the top regret of dying people was that they didn't have the courage to be themselves. And the third top regret was that they didn't have the courage to express their emotions. They pretended to be happy when they were not, and so on. So the question for the rest of us is, do we want to wait till some terminal illness wakes us up? Or should we just confront the fact that in so many ways we're afraid to be authentic because we're so afraid of being rejected? And as children, we didn't have much choice. As adults, can we develop that freedom to be ourselves?
Most people spend their lives busy, but never actually move forward. So, are you growing or are you fooling yourself? Ask yourself these following questions. When I look back, am I tackling challenges I once avoided or just repeating the same routines? Am I saying yes to things that make me uncomfortable, things that could redefine my future? Do I feel more resilient, or am I just getting by and calling it strength? Is my time going to activities that build my future, or do I just fill my days? If these questions make you question your path, that's the point. True progress is uncomfortable. It requires breaking the cycle. So next time you doubt yourself, check if you're moving forward or just moving in place.
Master patience, as this journey is long and treacherous. As the chaotic world moves around you, you must remain grounded in your pursuit of legacy. Distractions will come your way, things won't go as planned, you will experience moments of doubt and uncertainty, but you must remain patient, remain still, disciplined, and focused, because the only thing that separates you from everything that you've ever wanted is time.
You don't get to choose your best days. They don't come by command. In fact, your most crucial moments, they're likely to show up when you feel like giving nothing. When every fiber in your body screams to stay down, to avoid the fight, to sit it out, life has a way of dropping challenges right at your feet. Every great opportunity, every crucial moment that changes the course of your life gives you one chance to get it right. Life doesn't come with a rewind button or a second take. Sure, sometimes you get a second attempt, but I guarantee you, the impact of succeeding the first time is 1,000 times stronger.
The trajectory of your life changes when you show up fully prepared the first time. You won't be surrounded by failure. You won't be haunted by what-ifs or the stains of inadequacy. There will be no air heavy with the stench of regret. Every success you earn the first time adds up, lifting you higher, pushing you further. But you only get there if you're relentless, even on your worst days. To be truly unstoppable, you have to be prepared for those days when everything goes wrong, yet you still come out on top. That's not luck. That's earned strength. That's hard work. And it comes from making a promise to yourself to train so hard you're unbreakable. It means doing the work even when nobody's watching. You train for the days when you feel like you're worth nothing, because those days will come. You prepare so that when it matters most, you can look at yourself in the mirror and know without a shadow of a doubt that you have the strength to overcome, even when every part of you wants to stay down. You don't practice when you feel like it. You don't train when it's convenient. You do it because every rep, every moment, is a deposit in the bank of resilience. A reserve that you'll draw from on those days when life demands more than you think you have, because that's what it takes. You need a tribe that holds you to the highest standard, especially on the days you can barely hold yourself up. There's no shortcut. There's no secret. Transformation is about embracing the grind. It's about respecting the pain that shapes you, the struggle that forges you. You have to learn to fall in love with the process, to find satisfaction in every moment that tests you, every task that pushes you to your limits. The truth is, the process will break you down before it builds you up. It will force you to confront your weaknesses. It will make you doubt yourself, and it will strip away any illusions you have about who you are. But that's the point. Real strength isn't about comfort. It's about stepping into the fire over and over and coming out sharper every single time. You need to be ready, not just when it's easy, but when every single part of you wants to run. And the only way to do that is to commit to the process day in and day out, no matter how tired, no matter how defeated you feel. Because it's the process that will shape you into someone who can stand up, fight, and conquer, even when every part of you is screaming to quit. You'll have a strength that's earned, not given. A strength that comes from choosing to be better every day, no matter what life throws at you. When you train harder, you don't just raise your standards. You create an entirely new level of resilience, a level that few will ever reach because they don't have the guts to push past their own comfort. But if you want to be good enough on your worst day, you have to demand more from yourself on the days you feel strong. Every moment counts. Every decision to keep going counts. And every time you train beyond what's expected, you're creating a version of yourself that won't back down, no matter what. Comfort is a lie. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. And if you're chasing comfort, you'll never reach your full potential. You'll never know what you're truly capable of. But if you can choose greatness over comfort, if you can commit to doing what's hard, even when it's the last thing you want to do, you'll become unstoppable. Every time you choose to push harder, to go further, to demand more, you're choosing greatness. You're telling yourself that comfort isn't enough, that you refuse to be mediocre, and that you're willing to sacrifice convenience, to give up excuses, to put in the work, no matter the cost. Because comfort doesn't make champions. Comfort doesn't create legends. And if you're serious about winning, if you're committed to conquering every obstacle in your path, you'll need to abandon any attachment to comfort. You'll need to choose strength, resilience, and grit. And that choice starts with every moment, every action, and every single step you take, even when it's the hardest thing in the world. So remember this, life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't wait for you to be at your best. When the moment comes, you won't get to ask for a better day. a better time, or a second chance. The only way to guarantee victory, even on your worst day, is to become the person who is prepared to win, regardless of the circumstances. You must be that good. You have to build yourself into someone who can step up when everything else tells you to stay down. You train, you push. You surround yourself with people who refuse to let you quit. You abandon comfort, you choose greatness, and you commit to being unbreakable. On the day you face your greatest challenge, when your opponent is at his best and you're at your worst, you will know you are ready. Because you've chosen to be stronger, you've chosen to be prepared, and you've chosen to be unstoppable.